But before we dive into today's show, we have a very special visit from HuffPost Latino Voices editor, Carolina Moreno, and multi-talented Renaissance woman, Adrienne Houghton. Please, welcome.
Welcome. Hi.
Hi.
It's so nice to meet you. Lucas, thank you for coming.
Alex, nice to meet you.
Hello. Welcome. How are you guys doing today?
How are you?
Oh, I'm living my best life. It's Friday.
I hear that. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm saying. So excited to meet you. You have so much going on. We called you a Renaissance woman for a reason.
Thank you. I like that.
Yes.
I've never been called that before.
But the latest thing is the jewelry line.
Yes.
So are you rocking some of it today?
I am. I have all of it on right here. It is called XIXI. We actually launched it on 11/11. It's the Roman numeral for 11/11. I got married on 11/11. I swear I see 11/11 on the clock every day. Am I the only one?
No.
I'm like, oh yes, it's signed. So we decided to name the jewelry collection XIXI.
That's amazing.
And I'm excited about it.
And what are some of the things we can see in it?
So this is the choker. It's called the Diamante choker. And I actually decided to make the first collection, which is called Faith and Familia. So people get confused. The line is called XIXI, and then we'll continue to drop different collections. So the first one I did was based on the signature pieces that I wear every single day that were either handed down to me from family. I grew up here in New York City in the Lower East Side. So I would go to like Delancey Street, Joyeria Pepe. It doesn't exist anymore, but that's like where I got my first ears pierced. And the first collection is called Faith and Familia, and it's kind of based off of that. You know, the crosses that I would wear. We have hoop earrings that have little crosses on them, where it's called At the Cross. We have a praying hands pendant. Just literally looks like all the things I got for birthdays growing up. I'm like, we may not have been able to pay our rent, but I had gold jewelry.
Always.
Down. Like I was layered on. I left the hospital as a baby with like 2 ID bracelets on and a pinky ring and some studs. Yes. So that's what it's about, and I love that. And then we just launched a new collection called It Is Written, which is this necklace that I have on. It's the Psalms 139. It's my favorite Bible verse. And that actually is something that comes out every 11th of every month. Cool. So like the next one will come out January 11th. And each piece is limited edition, but it's based on a Bible verse. Oh. So you get like these dope collector's item keepsake boxes, but they actually look like vintage books. So you can put them on like your nightstand, a coffee table book, and when you open it, it's actually a devotional. So it's dope. I think in this time that we're living in, people need hope. They need to be inspired. They need encouragement. So if it's little things like this or like Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Whatever you got to go to get you through your day, I just want to be a little piece of inspiration, and that it's around your neck and hopefully a reminder that you can get through.
I love that.
I hear that.
I love that.
Yeah, I was gonna say what inspired the collection, but you just heard it.
There you go. Yeah. But,
yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about, there's an inscription in the boxes.
Yes.
That you, for the Faith and Familia
Yeah.
line. And it says something along the lines, you know, through life's many adventures, like don't forget where you came from. And you got, you know, you talk about a little bit about how that inspired it, you know, growing up, that I'm guessing also like the Latin. The Latinism of like, you know, every quinceañera meant like a little nameplate with your name on it.
It was for every birthday. It was my 3rd, my 2nd, my 5th, my 16th. But I do think that my cultura definitely has a huge part to play in this. I think that should always be celebrated. You should never forget where you came from. And I think it's kind of funny how you see trends that start out in urban communities. You then see it in Barney's, and you're like, I had one just like that from, you know, Oro Solido down the block.
That's the white ladies wearing it.
Exactly, but it's dope that we have that sort of impact, and that I really do think that urban communities are the ones that set the trends. And I love the fact that I grew up in that, and I experienced when it originally came out, and that I'll continue to celebrate it coming back around. Fashion just keeps doing like a big circle. I'm waiting to see what the next thing is gonna be.
Yeah, and talking about authenticity, like I think one of the things that I love about you, and I think we all talking in the backstage about the real.
Thank you.
Obviously,
Yes.
Emmy winning host.
Love.
Congratulations on that. And it's so rare to see such a diverse group of women come together to talk about a lot of real things, essentially. And you've done some, you know, you've discussed things about, you know, topics like being Latina enough, and you had a beautiful tribute for Selena Quintanillas, which is everywhere, and it went viral completely.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what are the challenges? What's the most rewarding aspect of just kind of bringing in your authenticity to that show?
I love doing the real. I think the greatest thing is that it doesn't feel like work. We get to do what we get to hang out with women that I absolutely love every single day. I get to show up to work, laugh, cry, share my heart. Even when you've gone through bad things, I recognize that God has given me a platform to share. Even the things that in the moment I was like, why is this happening to me? This sucks. And then I talk about it 2 or 3 years later on the reel and I'm like, oh, maybe this is why I had to go through that. Maybe there's somebody that's gonna hear this story and be like, I'm not alone. I'm not the only stupid one. I do that really weird, gross thing too. It like goes from like random stories, but I love it. And I think, again, celebrating diversity is so important. I think inclusion and the fact that we were the first of its kind. I always say, you don't have to agree or love every single thing that we say on the show, but when you support a show like The Real, you're supporting something bigger than us. It's a bigger statement. It means that if you didn't see somebody like yourself growing up on television, like I didn't see, it's crazy when people say, Adrienne, you're the first Latina in daytime talk. Right. At first I was like, that definitely can't be true. And then when I heard it was, obviously we've had like Cristina, which is on Spanish language television, on Univision, exactly. I'm like, caso cerrado. But I love all those shows, but we didn't have anything like that in English channel station on mainstream television. And just to be able to say we've come that far, when you support a show like The Real, it should remind you that even if you don't like us per se, that is proof that your daughter can be on television one day with a show like ours. So I love that. I love the girls that I work with. I think that makes all the difference. People ask, like, what makes the show special? I'm like, it's us. It's the chemistry. It's the sisterhood.
Well, and on top of that, I think, like, people of color, we talk a lot about code switching. And there's a sense of comfort of being around people who understand what it's like to not be represented, to not always see yourself in film. And like, you get to talk about things like that maybe.
Absolutely. I think we have just honest, real, I hate to say real because it sounds so unintended.
They're super real.
But just real conversations. I think the fact that we're so comfortable with one another, we sometimes forget that the cameras are rolling and we end the show. And I'm like, did I really just say that on television?
Yeah, we know that feeling.
Yeah. But when it's over, you're just like, that's who I am. And at least you can stand by the fact that I was being real. And whatever it comes of it, good, bad, embarrassing, you're like, but I shared my heart, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
This year, I would be remiss not to mention marks 15 years since the Cheetah Girls premiered on Disney.
Guys, the time is flying.
How does that feel? I mean, that's
weird,
crazy.
to be honest, because I'm like, I was just in Toronto filming that very first movie. But at the same time, I think it's awesome that people still love it 15 years later. And that shows the impact that I never expected. And, you know, when you do jobs like that, you're like, okay, great, I'm out here singing girl power. You don't even know, like, you don't know the impact that it will have years from now. And it kind of goes back to what you were just saying. Again, Cheetah Girls was the first first movie. It was a DCOM, what is that? Disney Channel original movie. Yes, a DCOM. It was the first of its kind where it was multicultural in the sense of it was majority minority cast. Actually, we all were. Even Sabrina, who was playing the nondescript race, she's actually Latina as well, and if I'm not mistaken, Native American. But it was a real celebration of what the group of friends I grew up looked like. And I think that that's awesome. Again, it had a great message, girl power. And I'm
sure
proud
you
of
get people like in the street being like, Cheetah Girls, Cheetah Sisters.
Yes, and I love it. I'm like, Chuchi for life. I just can't believe it. I always joke around that I can't wait for the day that I can show my children the movie, but I want to like play it for them. Don't say anything, just put it on. I want to see if they notice that it's me. My husband always says, he's like, Adrienne, you're going to start talking and they're going to be like, that's mommy's voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Because my voice is so distinct. But I think I'm just really proud of ultimately the message that was behind all of it, which again was about unity, girl power, growl power, how we all have our different spots, but we are one and the same, and we should celebrate our differences, celebrate who we are, and I just love it.
Do you think you'd ever revisit the Cheetah universe?
I would totally be down. Yeah, I think we've all said we would love that. I would never do something that would make it whack, though. You know what
Okay,
I
we
mean?
do.
Like, I think at some point with all the reboots, you see that and you're like,
Respect the
yes, I'm
integrity.
so
Yeah.
excited, but if it's gonna make it whack, let's just leave it alone and go down in history as something great and leave it that way.
Well, I believe that you guys can bring it back and not make it whack, and I'm crossing my fingers that
All
it
right,
happens.
all
Maybe in
right.
2019, I don't
You
know.
never know. You
Adrienne,
never
thank
know.
you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much for having
Yeah,
me.
take care.